Yo, I just had a huge, amazing realization, like connection thing that just popped in my head when you said that, because when a woman is like breastfeeding, and just because to me this is just like a big drastic change in a body. It's like your body literally begins to produce milk. How does it begin to produce milk? Because a hormone sends a signal to your body to create that new like protein substance in your body,
Right.
which, and what is the thing, the molecule that creates the instructions to create the proteins, is your DNA. So what happens is that it's like a lock and a key, and then the DNA code switches so that, like, what they call like the dormant DNA strands and the dormant parts of the DNA are like now activated and turned on, so that that gene expression exists in the body. So when we're talking about energetics on this way, in this way, it's like when I bring in these light codes, it's bringing in these DNA expression, like these frequencies which key in to the DNA and create the light codes that will activate dormant parts of the DNA, and this awakens different abilities within you and different light expression within you that is dormant because you did not have access to it on a physical level as well as a consciousness level. So this is like, that's
Are
what
you
I
recording
do,
right now?
yo.
Okay, good. That's incredible. That's a great analogy to break it down to somebody that doesn't get what you do, because like
It's like breastfeeding.
bro, I
Yeah, case.
bro, I can make you breastfeed, okay? I can sing a tune that can make you breastfeed, okay? I change your DNA. You ready for this?
Breastfeeding
No.
results not guaranteed. Frenchie,
That's hilarious. Oh
we
my
do
god.
not claim
No.
to make you better
No. I was just saying, I
No,
think that
I
that's a
love that
really
so
I think that that's a really good way to like break down like
much.
what
Yes, explain
it is that
it.
you
To
do, because
explain
like
it.
it's
Because a code
kind
is a key. Like when you type in a code, and that's what they're called. They're called light codes. That on an energetic level is the key that's locking in
yeah.
to the, like, you're going boop boop boop, and then the door is open. You have access to the secret lab because your thumbprint matches. Like that's what it's doing to your
Okay.
DNA, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. I get the
Oh,
whole
that's hot.
activation and stuff. That's awesome. That's great.
Part two, what's good? Welcome to Cosmic Connect. I'm Frenchie V.
And I'm Blue.
What's good?
And we're gonna kind of talk about Pleiadians? Is that how you say that?
Pleiadian.
Pleiadian?
Yes, the Pleiadians. I mean, I hear people say like Palladian. I mean, but I do. I definitely hear. I feel like the most common pronunciation is Pleiadians. Some say Pleiadians. Some say with like a British accent, like Pleiadians. So I mean,
Yeah,
who knows?
yeah.
Like, it does. I don't know if there's like
It's
a
really
most
funny to listen
correct
to the
way, but
computer say things.
for any of them, I'm Ramadan. It's like a robot.
They say, yeah, the way the like Apple says things when you have it speak things, it's like Palladians. Like it's very like
Palladian.
pronounces every little like syllable. It's like okay,
Pleiadians. Because the way it's spelled, it looks like Pleiadians. Like
yeah.
Pleiadians. But
But
it's just
do you
Pleiadian.
want to draw cards for this episode first before we get into it?
Yes. Yes. Did we like that deck that I did last time? Like, let me just do that one again.
And yeah, we can do another incense.
Do another cleanse the space, initiate the contact, bring forth all the utmost energies of this particular occasion. This, that, and all that jazz. I pray for the highest light. I pray for the highest peace.
Switching it up, and it smells so nice. I've been kind of doing frankincense and nag champa a lot lately, but I'm gonna bust out some lemongrass.
Ooh, I love lemongrass.
So clean.
I wish I could smell that through the screen.
Oh,
Yo, it's so fresh. It matches your shirt.
Television yet?
How what? Yo, I've been saying that. Yo, I literally that is a line from me when I was like 5 or 7 years old. I'm like, we need smell-o-vision. Why don't we have smell-o-vision?
I said that when I was a kid too. 100%. They need it. Also, like, if they had it so that you could taste it, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, think about marketing. If they could make it so that you could taste it through the screen, the amount of things they would sell.
But the most disgusting things you would have to taste. I don't want to always taste everything.
Well, I mean,
but that's the thing. I mean, you don't always want to see everything either. You know, I guess it's like that's the thing. That's the difference between TV and real life is you get to like choose what channel you accept and stuff. But I guess it kind of is like that in life too. Can be.
I like real life. I like to get lost in my thoughts.
I like real life.
TV too, but I really like real life most. I don't know. I like to really try to practice being present. For so many years, I was so caught up with trying to be online. And so now I'm trying to get back online, and it's like, I really like trying to be present, though. I've actually just started getting good at that.
I know it's like then it becomes about the balance. That's how I'm feeling now, too. It's like almost like putting a test to all these like things that I was leading up to when I was like truly having all this time to focus on myself to now like doing things and like I don't know, like yeah, just relate to what you were saying.
Yeah. Like it's sometimes tricky to be present because we're so caught up in the drive, in the hustle and the bustle and the like so
anxiety, worrying about the future and like stuck in the past.
And I've always had anxiety for most of my life, but I feel like most Americans do. A lot of Americans.
It is very common.
And I think a lot of the human beings across the globe after the last pandemic definitely do too. Like, or the same pandemic.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say last. It's still ongoing. So I think that's the other thing. So, but it's interesting when you can like check in and you're like, whoa, like being present I feel like when I'm present, I'm only anxious when I'm thinking about what I have to do next.
Yeah, but then that's not present.
I know, but what I'm saying is like when I'm worried about being online, that's when I get really. But when even if I separate online, the only time I get like really anxious in the present is if I'm thinking about what I have to do next, like as in like the next step in the day,
like
or
groceries.
Like, that's like I have to go and do something. Like I get a little anxious about that, but like
waiting for something to happen.
Yes.
Oh. That's how I feel. That's how I get. It's like I get anxious waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
Yes, and because it's like it's not happening now, but it's like.
But you're like 9. You have
that
to
will ruin my whole day before.
You're like 8:30. You're like, oh man, I really need to go in like a half hour. I really need to go. Like, should I just go now? Like, oh wait, no, but I don't need to go until now. Like,
Yes.
I'm like,
Like
I guess I
always
can just go
pre-plan
now. I'll just be
stuff.
early. It's fine.
I totally do that. Like no, because I'm like, I'll be like, okay, but then I'll set my alarm for 2 hours so I can snooze it this amount of time so that I can know that I'm waking up like this, and then I can have time for X, Y, Z, and then it's like, my God. But like, if I can just have time where I don't have to worry about things like that, like
So
that
I
to me is
used
heaven.
to have, I used to have like 5 or 6 alarms, and I have got it down to like 2. One just fell out onto the ground, so I'm picking out my card right
I'm
here.
impressed.
But I've gotten to a point
Now I
of
don't
just
use an alarm.
2. And what I do is the first one is
Mhm.
like it has the like news, like it'll just say like what the temperature's gonna
Mm.
be, like
Mhm.
any like
Oh,
popular
I
news
like that.
right now. And then the next one it'll do music, but that first one was talking to me, so I'm actually awake. So I'm awake, like I'm
I
not
like
really
that.
sleeping. So at that point, what I do is in my brain, I'm like, okay, so this is my meditation time. Like I'm meditating awake, like thinking about what I have to
I
do
like
today.
that.
And then when my next alarm goes off, it's actually a music thing. And usually at that point, Jeremy is actually getting up out of bed. And so then I'm like, okay. So then I can have 2 paths. One where I don't pick up my phone, and then one where I get up and go do the things, like so sometimes I pick up my phone, and then that's usually when I get a little more distracted throughout my day, and I notice that I'm
Mhm.
much more like,
Mm.
what
You're
do I
more
do?
present if you don't wait until
If I
you
don't pick up my
engage.
phone and I just go and do whatever I do, I'm much better about like, okay, I got to do this, this, and this is how I do it, and then I'm fine.
Yeah, like your time with yourself and not having other people like draw you in other directions, kind of.
Right. But that alarm thing is really just a trick to you're actually awake, but you're meditating from till that second alarm goes off, and then you got to get your ass out of bed because at that time you're just wasting. So
Mm.
that's what I do in my brain is how I allow myself to snooze, but I kind of
Your
cut out
built-in snooze.
of the because I had like 5 or 6 for real, like so I was snoozing all the time.
That used to be me when I would have to wake up really, really, really early for work. Like, oh,
Yeah.
can't even tell you. Can't even tell you because I would be so scared that I would not be able to wake up in the time. So I'd be like, just in case, let me just add another one just in case. But now it's like, I mean, like if there's something early, like I just know that I got it. Like I have yeah, like I have my time, and then I'll put on my meditation. Like I kind of do the same thing. Have my earlier time. I'll put on my meditation, and then I'll have my second alarm that goes until my like like when that gets up, like I start like just like stretching a little bit, and then it's like
Yeah.
okay. But it kind of just times me a little bit like in the morning. But most days I just do that naturally, and I'm generally up around the same time. And like it's only really if I have times where I'm like I need to get up super early in the morning. Like lately I've just been letting my body flow with what feels good. As long as I'm getting the shit done that I need to get done, like let it be.
Yeah. So the card I pulled actually kind of goes with a little bit of what we're talking about. It's
Oh yes.
nourishment. Nourish your body, mind,
Ooh,
and soul with high vibe foods, movement, and company. Nourishment.
that's beautiful. Nourishment. Where's let me see the picture again.
Some planets on the cup.
It's a teacup with the
Some
little
birds, stars.
cosmic connect planet in the middle and the little stars coming out of it. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Oh, that's what we're talking about today. And what were we just talking about? Breast milk.
Really nourishing your body.
Nourishment.
Don't sleep too much. You want to sleep, but don't sleep too much because that actually can do bad things too. So look at that. Like,
Mm, that's right. Because you need balance. Because I've definitely had those times. But that was because trying to sleep more was my way of avoiding life. And that's what is different now. I'm not trying to avoid my life because I actually like my life.
Mm.
because I'm actually
I mean,
doing
I
what I
definitely
want to
think
do
there
in my
are
life.
yes, and I definitely been there. I've done similar things.
Mhm.
But I definitely think there are times where I've had moments where I have the ebb and flow of being a little extra tired and honoring that and sleeping a little more, or I don't really
Yes.
take naps. I'm
It's
not
the
really good at
discernment
naps.
thing.
But there's
I don't
definitely
know.
something to say that sometimes those things happen when there are big things going on. So like you need
Yeah,
extra sleep for that energy to flow
you
through
need to
you.
process. Some things
Your
need to process in your sleep.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, your like human form sometimes can't handle it all if you were to just not get that extra sleep. Like it'd be too
Right.
much.
Like it's repairing your body and
Yeah,
your soul connection. It really, a lot of things heal in your sleep. A lot of things happen in your sleep. And wait, this is
or
actually
like you
another
make
good point.
connections in your sleep.
You make connections in your sleep. Your brain
Or
grows
think,
in your sleep. So you
yeah,
actually finalize. So whatever you're surrounding yourself, whatever energy you're surrounding yourself before you go to sleep and as you go to sleep will be carried with you and amplified kind of like
yeah,
in your dreams. And that it happens with everything that happens throughout your day, but especially because that's when your brain is going into the theta waves and like your different like sleep patterns. It's going, your brain changes how it absorbs information. It goes into the theta state and it just sucks up information and
yeah.
goes straight to the subconscious, and that's your dreams. And also for like a lot of star seeds on earth, like it's very common that like you have a lot going on interdimensionally, and a lot of that stuff is accessed for you as you're sleeping. Like many starseeds have a lot of experiences with the astral realm and like things that feel like psychedelic experiences, but it's kind of just your body understanding different galactic dimensions in kind of like a dreamlike state. So
Mm,
like sometimes star seeds have a lot of shit going on. A lot sometimes, I mean, and that this is just true for anybody. Like if you have a lot going on in your dream state, there may be periods of your waking life where you may be called to be sleep more. And it's not like sometimes we beat ourselves up and we're like, oh, like we have to work this amount, we have to do these things, or like, oh no, I'm just slacking. But it's like learning to discern what your body really needs versus like you just procrastinating something and like that honor. I think that that's a lifelong process. I think that's a lifelong
yeah,
process for all of us.
yeah, totally, 100%. I think that I've gotten better at being aware of that kind of thing as I've gotten older.
Mhm.
Whereas, and it's just like emotions too. Like I can definitely
Mhm.
can tell like, oh, this is this emotion and not this emotion, or it's not this wide spectrum. It's
Mm.
really just because this one thing. Like I think that all of that kind of just comes from, really being in tune with yourself and knowing,
Yes, learning
what
yourself.
you need to do, and listening to that is harder
Mhm.
because, it's back to that whole like rat race thing. Like society has this expectation.
Mhm.
And so for us to follow that would dishonor this society that we care so much to be a part of. But at
Mhm.
the same time, following this is ultimately going to make you a better part of this. So,
Right. So it's like, where are your values? Kind
and
of,
I
but it's
guess,
just on a deep level.
yeah, yeah. I guess it could be a little of that an argument, the chicken and the egg, a little bit, just because it's like which one comes first. Like,
It's
well,
both. Yeah, it's both directions at the same time, and that's where it gets confusing. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. But that's
that's
a lot of things
wild.
in life. You kind of just have to, pick whatever works for now and kind of adjust as you go and just kind of
Mhm.
do your best. Do your best.
Be open to learn. Be open to learn. Oh,
Yeah.
so I drew a card.
What'd you draw?
This card came out.
Same deck?
So it's
Oh,
yes,
you did.
it's the light workers, the
Ooh.
the light seers tarot. It's
Oh, is that like
the
the
chariot.
a chariot? That's what I was just about to ask. Okay.
It's the
Couple
chariot. Looks
cards.
like a little. the sunset or a sunrise is very beautiful.
Yeah. It's nice.
Horses charging forth, one black, one white horse, one in the carriage with somebody driving it from on top of the roof. So that's some badass energy, yo.
One of those, like, what are those, coaches? Is that one of those coaches
Yeah.
where, like, the guy would sit at the
Yeah.
top and people would sit in the bottom? Is it
Yo,
called?
because that's what royalty rides in, is a coach.
Yes. But I think
Pulled
chariot,
by horses.
I feel like that's like pre, you know, coaches. Like I think coaches is more modern. Of a
Coaches is
term.
more coaches is more like, yeah, more modern. Chariot is more like ancient, like
Yeah.
chariot is more like you race chariots. Coach is more like transportation, but this is like a chariot that looks like a coach, so it's a cool combination of both things.
Yeah.
It has this vibrant orange color, this vibrant purple color, so it's like contrast as well. But you're balancing the contrast to build forward momentum in your life. That's what we're doing.
The chariot definitely is charging forward.
We're charging, baby, like those
Ooh,
headphones.
Did you notice that? Hold on. Nourishment, chariot. Like nourishment is exactly what we were talking about like following yourself, like listening to yourself. Chariot is charging forward, the hustle and bustle.
Yes. And that's the duality. That's the balance.
What?
That's how, and that's sex
awesome.
magic for you, baby.
That's awesome. We did not plan that. That's awesome. That's incredible. Wow.
I love it.
I wonder if we'll be able to make another connection as we talk about the Pleiadians now.
Probably, yes. I already have. Pleiadians is nourishment because Pleiadian energy is the most strongest thing about Pleiadian energy is a love energy, a heart-centered energy, and that's a very like loving and nurturing energy, like a mother type of energy, a little bit, like, you know, it's like it's nourishment. It's Pleiadian.
Yeah, totally. What was there was something you were saying that was going on that you were really excited to talk about this.
Yes. So every year, in the way that the planetary celestial bodies, if you will, are like moving across the sky, there are certain dates in the year in which Earth and the sun kind of line up with these different constellations in the sky. And so it's like said to be portals of when that energy can like kind of actually come to Earth. So what we all right, so we got the so the date is, that's not saying the date. Not B. Probably gonna have to edit this out.
Oh, while you're doing that, I'll just talk about some of the Pleiadian traits so that to familiarize anyone that may not know, if that will help you out while you're figuring that out. So to kind of continue on with what you were saying about it being like motherly, a lot of the things that have been said in the article that I was looking at for this particular starseed was that there's a lot of inner feminine energy, which very much kind of goes with the motherly vibe. and they also
Mhm.
are like natural healers, which this might
Yeah.
be an this is controversial of opinion for me because I don't have this in my biological mother, but I feel like mothers
Mm.
are healers. Um, I
Mhm.
feel like I can sense
Mhm.
that when I see mothers with their children, like they
Yes,
want to,
like the positive traits of mother is
yeah, yeah. So I could very much
that. Mhm.
see that. The the other thing that I think was also funny is they can be a little too nurturing sometimes, which is very much
Yes, they can get
mothers.
into some
Like,
tricky, sticky
you know,
situations.
I feel like I've been around many of my friends with their parents, and you know,
Yes.
I've heard them be like, "Mom, stop," and I'm always
Yeah.
don't have a relationship with my mom. I'm like, "Stop it! Let your mom talk. Like, I want to hear what you say." Like, I'm that person. So, no
Uh-huh.
one can bully their mom around me because I won't have it. I won't listen to it. No,
Yeah,
no, no, no,
no, like
no.
you better love and appreciate your mom.
But yeah, like I always really funny to see that dynamic because like I know that they're just
Mhm.
playing and that's just like their relationship, but I just for me I
Mhm.
no, you need to appreciate your mom. You don't know if you ever won't have her and you just don't do that.
Right, like you don't understand what you're doing.
um
Don't joke.
but
Don't joke about mom.
right, right. Um but yeah, like I feel like I totally I agree with what your sentiment is about them being motherly because you know also like they try to avoid violence and like they don't really like to see people get hurt. I feel like moms are kind of like that. Like I don't think
Mhm.
whereas like in contrary like men are depicted as like you know like fight and masculine and like power. So
Mm.
like you don't get that
Yeah.
they avoid violence, like, you know what I mean? Whereas, like,
It's
women,
like
it's like
yeah.
bringing you up, they're nurturing you, they don't want you to see you fighting
Mhm.
with anyone, they want you to see you grow and evolve, and
Mhm.
so, yeah,
Mhm.
I totally
Mhm.
agree with you.
Yes, and they're very healing, so it's like
I wish we would have thought about this, we should
I'm
have done this
giving you
on
this.
Mother's Day. Like, right after Mother's Day, this would have been a perfect episode for
Yeah, that was our first episode.
get in touch with your Pleiadian. If you're trying to be a mom, if you are a mom, get in touch with your inner Pleiadian.
Mhm. Mhm. Get in touch with your inner Pleiadian and anybody. I think that like anybody would just benefit from getting in touch with Pleiadian energy. It's really loving. It's really close to Earth. Like they're said to be kind of like motherly, yes, but also kind of like big sisterly. Like
Mm.
the Pleiadian constellation is known as the Seven Sisters, and so it does have this very feminine quality, but like I mean, you can be a man. Like they have gender. Like
Oh,
you can
sure.
be a man in
Yeah,
Pleiadians, but it's just kind of overall. You know what I mean? That's kind of like they're more vibe. I also get kind of very. They're said to be very like elegant and like tall and like willowy, and there's a certain type of extraterrestrial that people have seen that have come down to Earth, and like shown themselves to people that are look like kind of like Nordic
yeah.
peoples,
Yeah,
and like a lot of the Pleiadian kind of has that type of like vibe, that type of energy. Like I don't know, I'm like
very
seeing like a
strong.
Swedish pop star type of vibe. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Pleiadian
I
too. You know what I
remember that
mean?
being said was like that they that they are known to be blonde and kind of
Mm,
long, like tall, like very lank.
yeah, very
Like,
elegant, and we are
yeah, yeah.
Pleiadians. Like,
Um,
going
and
like,
also like flowy, like, and that kind of makes me
yes.
go back to the motherly. Motherlies are usually intuitive, like they're very and intuition like
Mhm.
literally is following the flow, you know, like so it's
Yes.
just kind of like it all like ties in to like that mother. And you said it was like
Mhm.
earth, and you know we call earth Mother Earth, or a lot of people do, so like You know, I think
Mhm.
that
Oh my
all,
god. Yeah.
but I feel like that feminine energy is gotta, I mean, sisterly, motherly. Like, how many times has your sister, even though maybe you fought like cats and dogs, maybe there was a time where she was motherly, you know, like that ebb and that flow of that
Yes.
there.
Like a leader, but also a friend,
Yeah, yeah,
a
exactly.
nurturer, but also like also a close, like, and confidant.
Right, right. Yeah, I feel the same about my sister. So like I feel like
Mhm.
that is typical of that feminine energy. So it
Yeah,
makes
it's like that's the positive sister qualities. There's like,
right, yeah.
you
Well, and
know.
I think it's just kind of like what we were saying in the last episode where it was just like you're always going to have like the duality of it. Like there can only be
Mhm.
so much good. You have to have some sort of bad to almost balance it. Like not even like, oh, we need as much bad as there is good. No, it's just like it's kind of like that weird like
Yeah, it's like a pole. It's a
yeah,
magnet,
like
and it's
it,
like
I don't even, yeah, I don't know where I was gonna go with
the
that, but
very things.
yeah,
I could finish what you're saying, maybe. Like
yeah, go for it.
the if it's like you're going to have, like, you have these beautiful positive traits, and often like the negative side is exactly what makes the positive positive. So like
Yes,
sometimes your hardest struggle is exactly your like biggest strength, type
yeah,
type shit. So be like, Pleiadians are so loving, but then often like the shadow side of that is like when that energy isn't like fully like integrated, kind of, or like you're just in a certain like place in life, like it's going to affect you, and like you're going to see the negative side of that, where it's like you have a lot of issues with love, you have a lot of like, you know issues with like these types of topics, because it's like just part of your soul is like coming to heal that. Almost, it's really like deep, but there can be a lot of like, I think that this also goes with all the starseed kind of types. It's like you're just coming here with this energy that's like really deep, and it does show up in like really painful ways sometimes. Like a lot of starseeds have been through a lot of shit. That's a very common thing, I think, within all starseeds. So
hmm
yeah, I just think that we all kind of have our own flavors of those things showing up for us. You know what I mean? Like we all have our earthly traumas, I think,
yeah.
that
It's
kind of disconnect us from our places, our connections, our true soul connections.
yeah. It makes me think of like the yin and the yang. Like you just have to
Yes,
have the balance. Like it's
the balance.
I almost said I know where I was going earlier. I almost said that it's like that whole phrase where you can't experience joy without sadness. But I don't really love
Mm,
that because I don't like to think that like you can't experience happiness without being sad. Like what? Like I don't know if I agree with that exact sentiment, but I think that there is a
mhm,
balance there that they're trying to represent in that sentence. Like I maybe there's a different words that could be used so it's not my brain doesn't take it so literal, but I feel like
mm.
like there's just always like the duality of both sides. So like just like
Yes.
talking about it being a very feminine star seed, there is feminine and masculine in everybody. There's a duality to all mankind, woman
Yes.
or
All
female, male,
beings. Yeah.
in transgender. This can literally go across all
There's a.
all
It's
gender,
just an energy. Yes.
non-gender, through all human forms. Like you have
Mhm.
both sides, and some people maybe fall or closer to one side or the other because that's what the
It's a
one that they
spectrum.
project, like that's the one that they put out, or that's
Mhm.
the one that they follow because it's just not more natural to them. But none of that is wrong or right. And my whole point of that is
Mhm.
that Pleiadians being a more feminine starseed, absolutely a male can 100% be a part of this because like
Mhm.
there's lots of men that I've met that are very feminine and not like they're
Loving and nurturing.
flamboyant, but they're just very nurturing and they very
Mhm.
caring, and they would
Yeah.
never start a fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like those kind of guys, like they're out there. But
yeah, like just a I feel like a lot of times Pleiadians like energy is just a person who kind of feels like a warm hug and
oh
chocolate chip
yeah,
cookies, you know? Like we just know that kind of like, you know what I mean?
God. Don't you? Doesn't everybody want to be like if somebody said, "Man, have you met that Frenchie? She's like a warm hug and chocolate chip cookies." Like
Some
what the
chocolate chip cookies.
hell ever? Like, oh my god, that's like the goals. Like if you can achieve that, you are a wonderful person.
mhm. Mhm. So yeah, like Pleiadian is beautiful energy. It's very loving. And actually, one of the things like they're from a higher dimension, but they kind of more recently ascended up to like I think they're well, all of them have different like levels, but like a lot of Pleiadians I believe are like seventh dimension. There's some that go to much higher dimensions, but um, what's interesting is right now the dates of May 16th through the 20th, which is the day that we're recording this. It will be a little bit time after when by the time that this airs, but this is known as the Pleiadian lineup. So it's when the Earth is most aligned with and the sun is like most aligned with the Pleiadians, and there's basically a portal of like Pleiadian energy just like sending all its vibrations straight onto Earth at this time, and I've been feeling it a little bit, and I feel very intensely immersed in it right now. I think this whole time we've been talking about the Pleiadians, I've been feeling this like very beautiful
I
Pleiadian
just
energy
noticed
coming through.
I've been swaying for most of this.
Yeah, because
So
before I
yes,
found myself
it's
dancing and we were like going like flowy and stuff, and it's like like the
and
way
I'm
that we
not
totally
doing
work,
that.
like the energy is just with us. It's just like it's just with us.
Yep. So yeah, I think you're right. I'm gonna be interested to watch back, edit this back, or like just like producing it back.
Yeah, be like, yeah, we totally were bugging out.
I'm gonna be like,
Why were we? But like, oh yeah, shit, we were being like Pleiadian the whole time. Like I really feel that. Like I really feel like they're with us right now. I feel like they are almost being channeled through me right now. I'm not even kidding. Like, it's like, like love. Like
so what all do you know about Palladians? Like we're kind of talking about their characteristics, and I don't know, a ton.
so.
So is there something that so like you were saying that this is the day that you can channel through that to them easier? What was that you were saying? I'm sorry.
Well, there's different dates of the year where the Earth where we'll be more aligned with different constellations. So there's kind of like they call them lineup days where
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
so then it's like those energies are just aligned. It's easy to channel. It's a portal. Like it's a portal of this really powerful galactic energy from this place. And know what's crazy is because I was looking up the one for Andromeda,
Mm-hmm.
which is like where I'm from, and the days are literally like around this time of the year. I just always say that this is my favorite time of the year is like just like around April and like this specific time, and like I just always love that. That's just I just get this amazing energy like that time of the year. I just always said that that's like my favorite time, and
Mm.
I looked up the Andromedan and it was like April 16th through 18th, and the middle day of that is April 17th, which is like always around the same time of the year that I'm like, yo, like I love it. And the
Nice.
17 is my number. So
Oh yeah.
like XVI is 17, Frenchie V.
Look at
Like
that.
I like got emotional when I read that because I'm like, oh my gosh, like they literally are always like showing me in different ways how connected I am to it. And like,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I feel like they're gonna do that until you fully embrace it. You know what I mean? Like, I know that you embraced it quite a bit, but I feel like they're going to keep doing that. And then once you fully embrace it, then it will just be like, okay, now we're just going to tell you messages whenever we want to tell you messages.
I feel like I feel like that's what it is like, I feel like no matter what, I'm always going to be seeing things because I'm connected to that energy. So I'm always going to have things that are showing me that connection in different ways and that manifesting in my reality. And like, it's just that is like very open, and I do believe it's something that just continuously like shows up, and it's just always really cool. It doesn't matter how many times, like it's always cool, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's so cool. I wouldn't even know what to do with myself.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, I mean, it's not crazy, but I just feel like it's very profound. A lot of things that we're talking about, like how it really connects these outside things, these external things to like just who we are. And I was like thinking before how, I don't know, I just believe that we've had many like lifetimes together in different places, because I keep like looking at you like through this screen, because we literally are just seeing each other through screens. But it's like, as we're talking about all these things, I just see these different energies flashing through you, and it's really beautiful, and it's like connecting me back to times of myself as well. And it's like, that's the cosmic connect, yo.
Yeah. That's why we're here. Yeah, I feel like there's definitely bigger things at play, and I almost just am curious how like it all works together. You know what I mean? Like, I know it all works together, like without really knowing all of the pieces. But like, I just wish that I could like, I don't know
it
like
all.
Maybe not even know it all, but like, could you just like give us like a TV series? Like, just send us down like a good old like this is just kind of synopsis of how we got to this point, so that you understand what's going on. Because it's just like, you know, there's so much that you can like read and really know like, oh yeah, that feels right. Like, I know that that's probably not garbage, but you know, it's so easy for people to just like capitalize on someone's interest in something. You know what I mean? Like, so like, I feel like there's a lot of like just different information out there that's like, you know, who knows if the reason why people don't resonate with that is because it's not, there's nothing to it. Like, somebody just kind of was like, sounds good. Like, you know, like you just don't know, because there isn't really anything to like say it's right or wrong, unless you yourself are, you know, tapped in and have those connections. Like, obviously, like you can have a good gut and trust your intuition and all of that, but you know, you don't really know unless you have some sort of deep connection. And so for new beginners like me, I'm gonna let everybody know, like, you know, like me, like, don't like get turned off by like how ethereal it all sounds. Like, you know, it just, you know, things will make more sense as you get into it and you dive in, and the more you dive in, then you will slowly tap in yourself too. And I'm sure that I will be able to elaborate so much more and not stumble over my tongue so much as we progress in these discussions, because I feel like I've expanded so much in just the 4 or 5 episodes now, like, so that I can't wait till we're at 360.
It's gonna get wild, yo. It's gonna get wild, and it's already wild. So what can we say? Like,
But yeah, I feel
I
like
don't know.
it's so interesting, and I just wish we could find the history. I think that that's what I would like to get
Like a
to.
textbook. I mean, I guess that is like, you know, the Akashic records can hold a lot of that information. And I do believe that a lot of that information is out there, and like we can discern the truth. I believe in like discerning the
Yeah,
truth in
no.
your body.
Yes, I
And
agree.
like, but it is also a whole process. I mean, all of
Mhm.
this is a whole process, truly.
Yeah.
It's a multi-layered, ever-expanding process to unearth truth of everything and of who we are. But it's a beautiful unfolding, you know?
Yes, absolutely. The other thing I was going to ask about the Pleiadians, not to go back to that.
No, I want to go
Are
back
they
to them too, actually. That was perfect.
do they have their own planet, or is this like
Mhm.
a
No.
overarching group of people?
No, I believe all. I mean, even all of these things. Like, I don't know. I don't. They're like Syrian is kind of, just think of it as a group, a consciousness group almost, and like
Okay.
they can have multiple planets. They can have an entire constellation. They
That's
can
kind of
have
what I
one
was saying.
planet.
Like,
Like
is it like
any of these. Yeah.
a bigger
So the
group?
Pleiadians
Yeah,
is
yeah,
a
yeah.
whole, basically like space.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Like again, it's seven sisters, so that would
That could be,
indicate to me like many bodies. I believe
yeah,
Pleiades is big. Like I believe it's a very
yeah.
large group, and there's many Pleiadians on Earth at this time. Like I read multiple times from multiple different sources that like Pleiadians is the most like common type of star seed. Like so I believe that anybody who is a starseed can relate to Pleiadian energies and can probably like pick it out in a certain way in their life. Like even if you're not
Sure.
conscious of it, like you know what I mean. But it's
Yeah.
just it's
And
so connected to Earth.
yeah, it's literally so connected to a whole
Mhm.
half of our
To us.
energy. Like our whole
Mhm.
half is
Mhm.
masculine and feminine. Maybe it's not so much like this and
Mhm.
this, but like it's a whole half of like their heavy characteristics of them is feminine energy. Like so like
Mhm.
you would have to be able to connect at on some level, I would think.
Yeah, and like what's beautiful about that too is yeah, like there's just different ways that expresses, and a beautiful thing about Pleiadians too is like they're master healers. Like they're really amazing with energy work, like Reiki and tarot readings, like because they're so intuitive. Like healers, they also work with like sciences and crystal technology, but in a very like femininely energetic way, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
a masculine is more like forceful, raw,
right.
but the Pleiadian it's more again like we've been kind of just flowing this whole time. It's such a flowy like type of this kind of like vibe. I know that people who are just listening can't see my what I'm doing with my hands right now, but I feel like that's just that is me somehow channeling like
She's kind of
Pleiadian
doing
flowing
snakes
light
with both
language.
of her
Like
hands and overlapping, if you
yes, and
have
like
a description.
ooh, like this is Pleiadians coming through me right now. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
Like
I feel
it's
like that also
hmm,
makes sense why they're mostly found in like the arts and like crafts and
yes, and
like wow,
more
really?
like
Palladians are
artistic
also
things.
commonly found within the realm of arts using their crafts to connect with others and uplift them.
Yes. Ah, like I know I have been on the Pleiadians on the Pleiades for at least like I know I have been there at least one lifetime or have connection like I know my connection with that runs deep. And you
And
know
I
what's
think,
interesting?
go ahead.
I'm gonna actually mine you go first.
Okay.
You go first.
So the thing that I was gonna say is that the closing thoughts in this, and I was thinking this the whole time and I didn't say it because
Mhm.
I think it's controversial to assume that angels are any male
No,
masculine.
you're right. You're right.
So
Mhm.
the thing that
I
they
don't know what
said
you're
was
saying, but I
that
feel
the
like you're right.
starseeds are beautiful and sensitive souls who often radiate an angelic vibration.
Mhm.
So with that being said, I think that there is a lot of people that view angels as they're both, like that
Mhm.
and there's also people that believe that angels are genderless. Like there's
Yes,
that.
I've heard all of
Um,
these things. Yes.
but at the end of the day, there's still like a certain like purity that's unanimous. Like I think everybody really
Yes,
does
it's like the
agree that that angels are just like
Mhm.
pure, um obviously
God's
good. I don't
created
think
that
most
he
people, I don't think people consider Lucifer an angel, even though he
technically was.
is an angel.
It is.
Doesn't
Mhm.
matter that he was casted out of heaven. He's still an angel. That's his, like, it's his DNA. You can't really take that away from
Mhm.
a person or a thing or
Mhm.
a creature of any kind. Um,
Mhm.
so uh, I have a really strong tie to angels. And so I think that it's interesting
Yes.
that it wasn't just necessarily the feminine energy about Pleiadians that I found so drawing. It was more of the angelic thing. Because I didn't want to get into it when
Yes.
I was first talking about it, but it's like there is like mother and then there's like angel. Like obviously somewhere in between there's
And
grandma
yes.
because grandma is separate. Grandmas are they're just different. They're just different. They're the
Oh,
best. Grandmas are the best.
grandmas
But
are grandmas is different. Pleiades is not grandmas to me, but
no,
maybe
no,
it is. I
no,
don't
no.
know. It could be
All of them.
multi-generationals of
All of them.
females,
I'm
but
explaining like the chakras of them.
the chakras.
I'm making this shit up now. Don't class me for this. I'm making this all up. But what I'm saying is like angels are up here and like there's something about an angel that's like very nurturing and very like loving
Always
and
care
they
for you.
want to lift you up and
Yes,
they want to heal you and they want to take care of you and they want to guard you. They want to protect you. Like that's like they're
that's
literally
what
your
they're
mother
there
and your
for.
father in one. Like is how I
Yes, your
viewed angels.
protector, your healer,
Yeah.
your God. Like many people believe in guardian angels. People who don't even
Mhm.
believe in a lot of other things, like will say they have a guardian angel, and like
Mhm.
this is kind of felt across much of humanity, not all of humanity, that there's like just like beings that are very loving, here to guide us, here to help us. And what's very interesting is like when we talk about fallen angels and like fallen stars, it's like in order for star seeds to incarnate, that means you're taking an energy that was once only up here, essentially, because it had uh, evolved to to be able to be there, and it has to kind of like go down in layers for us to be dense right now in the third dimension. There are beings that has like 12th dimensional and above, like, so certain vibrations from different starseed origins almost need to go through an entire process in order to condense themselves down to be able to be in the third dimension. And sometimes only certain energies from that high of a frequency can actually be embodied in the third dimension.
Mm.
So many starseeds kind of feel that, and that's a very hard thing to explain. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I feel like that would be really difficult to explain. It's like explaining
mhm,
to someone something that you can literally feel when you're explaining it. You can feel it, you can almost taste it, you can do everything, but like that person just they weren't there. Like you can only say so much to get them to really understand because it's just
mhm,
they didn't experience it. So it's
yes.
a disconnect on that particular
And
thing.
us
Yeah.
from here can only experience it to a certain extent, I can't
Right.
even wrap my head around who I all the way am
Yeah.
from this level, from this sense.
So
Like, it's not possible.
so I'm sure that you have heard the thought process of like angels are actually aliens or
Yes.
alien.
No, wait. Oh my gosh.
So
Can I tell
so my question
Oh, yes.
my question
Mhm.
is do you think that, with that being said, do you think that Pleiadians may be the ones that are, if there's ever a sighting where they're
Mhm.
like it was like an angel, do you think that that could be of Pleiadian?
Well, yes. I mean, what I believe is many multidimensional masters, and actually, I have read this before from sources, is that like many multidimensional like ascended masters, like many people believe that like Jesus is an ascended master, like Buddha is an ascended master,
I've
like
heard that
Kuan
too,
Yin is
yeah.
an ascended master. So like people on earth who kind of just ascended to this place where they almost hold like a god like power. And like then there's also like the angelic is also multidimensional beings on different like on different dimensional levels like of light, and all of these beings interact and many of them are each other. Like I believe the same with deities person, like I have things that we'll talk about in later episodes for the way that I connect all of these things that I have seen. I just would love to share like all of this stuff, but basically like um can't go into all of that right now.
She's like, we would be here for days.
We will be here for days. Just stay tuned to all the Cosmic Connect episodes from like all the time in the future.
You can binge watch these in about 14 weeks, okay? Just watch them along with us and then come back, rewatch them. Enjoy.
Oh my goodness. Damn,
But yeah,
what
what were you
where did
saying?
I
You were
lose
talking
lose
about
me from?
connecting. You were talking about connecting like starseeds and deities and just like all the different things. And then you were like, "Oh, I'm
Oh,
not going to get into that." So
that,
help your
oh yeah. So, but back to the angelics with the
yes.
Pleiadians though. Like, so it's actually said that like the angelics are many of the angelics are Pleiadian beings. There's like an entire like kind of like angelic kingdom within the Pleiades is kind of the way that I
Yes.
understand it, literally. So yes, they're like, and
Because
this
that's
doesn't
what
mean
I
every
was
single
thinking
angel,
when I
but
was
literally, yes, literally. And that's why I was like, I'm just gonna wait for you to say all that, and then I'm gonna just tell you that that is literally the truth. Like,
I was literally
literally.
like when I was like listening to it, I was like, damn, like this sounds like angels. And then it gets to the end and it's like an angelic
It literally.
vibration. And I was like, whoa, hold on, back up. And you can't back up when they're speaking the article. So you just have to let it keep talking. But I was like, dang it, like so angelic vibration, like I'm sorry, aren't we vibrations? So angelic vibration, angel, human vibration, like I mean, so like my brain was like, oh, so they're angels, like
Yes, and like people are even called like people call people earth angels. Like a lot of people would say like the Pleiadian are like earth angels, but people say that about like all star seeds too, and like same thing of like what a fallen angel. One interpretation of it could be is like some people say that star seeds are like a type of quote unquote fallen angel, but also like there's the idea that angel has been interpreted many different ways in many different like places throughout history. So an angel can mean many things, and same thing with a deity. Like it moves across
so
dimensions and.
I think that my connection with Pleiades or Pleiadians wouldn't be necessarily
Mhm.
the feminine energy. I think it's the angelic vibration, because I cannot tell
Yes, it's
you
yes.
the insane like insane angel like visual I will get in meditations. I've had like
Mhm.
I had a Reiki session with Dree. Shout out Dree. incredible Reiki session.
Shout
Totally,
out
everyone get
Dree.
one. She's great. I did one with her, and she saw angel wings, and angel wings specifically are so important to me, like to the point where I was once petty. I had friends that got angel wings tattooed on them as like best friend tattoos, and I was so like mad because like angel wings meant something to me, and I was just like, not that I wanted it on me and they got it on them. It was just like, you got that, like you don't even understand what that means. Like I just like I thought it was this, I just really, it's just something, I don't know, it's, they're so pure, and like to just kind of use them so loosely, it just kind of like didn't sit right with me. And so I've always been very like defensive of angels. Like that's the one characteristic I can think of. I've always been very defensive of them, or like just enamored by them. Like my grandma grew up Catholic, or she was Catholic, and she was kind of like, when I was little, like she would take me to Catholic churches and stuff. And so like all of the angels in like all of the depictions, I had a fascination with angels and Mary, and all of the depictions of angels, I was always just like, I would always stop and look at them longer. My grandma would always be like, "Come on, we've looked at it before. Like, we gotta go." Like, but I just love angels,
You were
and
like
so
enthralled with it.
yeah, and it's just, I'm still like, when my grandma passed away, she had a bunch of like statues, a lot that were blessed, so they have to like go to the church, or you have to like, you know, treat them with you know, respect. So I actually
Yes.
do have a few of those pieces, but I kept all of her angels that I could keep, because I was just like, my salon's called Divine Cortex. I can just put them everywhere there. Like angels are just, I don't know. I love them.
I mean, who wouldn't love an angel, you know?
Yeah. I mean, how can you
I feel
not?
like angel equals love almost, you know, like.
Yeah. My one meditation that I had, and it was one that Juliet led, and I'm trying to remember what course it was. If it was Quantum Goddess, or if it had to have been Quantum Goddess, unless it was her little guest arrival in Sadie's course. But there was one where she like said flying creatures, and I saw angels, but it was such a weird feeling, because it felt like I knew them. Like it wasn't like
Familiar.
and like, but like not like a classmate familiar, like a family familiar, like cousins familiar. Like it was a
Like a
very
friend.
peculiar, no, it was deeper than that.
Not like a
Like
friend.
it was like, you know what I mean? Like when you're like, okay, you're at your school,
Yeah.
and you're like going to the playground, like you see your friends, but like think about at a family reunion when you see your cousins. Like it's just, it's different. Like that's what it was like. And I couldn't even make any sense of it, and I still haven't really made any sense of it, but I have some serious connection to angels somehow.
I love that. Yes, I think that's beautiful. I mean, I see that for you. Like, and that's, yeah, I think that's very common, but it just sounds like that's something like extra strong for you. And like,
Yeah.
I've know that it's extremely tied to everything that we're talking about, because yes, I mean, what I'm seeing it like thinking is like on a Christmas tree, what's the two most common thing that people put on top of their Christmas tree is like an angel or a star. And you know, there's a connection there. And when they describe the angels in the Bible, it's like these beings flew down like from the heavens,
From the
and
stars.
what would aliens do is literally fly down, and aliens literally travel in like light bodies. Like it's an energetic, sacred, geometric, like moving energy which transports them, and is also their body. So that's what an angel would look like. And
Yeah, more specifically, they both come from beams of light. Like they both have been depicted coming from beams of light, and aliens are constantly connected to beams of light, and then they saw an alien. Like angels, same thing. Like in the Bible, they always say that, you know, it was a bright star and then an angel came. Like, you know, it's just like, there's a lot of parallels between the two. For sure.
Yes, and like angel is definitely a distinct energy to me. It's an alien is also a distinct energy. Like it's not necessarily the same thing to me, but I feel like it's so intrinsically tied and so deeply related, and like, and but like it's like but it's its own thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I feel like they make their connections with the people that are most open to them and like can handle it. Like I also think there's a little bit of that. Like I think that they don't really, and it's not like I'm saying anyone's weak. I just think that there's sometimes, like, if you're not in, I know there's been times in my life where I was not in a right headspace, that if they revealed themselves to me, I would have lost my shit. But like, you know, maybe now I'm in a little bit better spot, that if I were to have them, you know, make themselves known, I wouldn't be as like, what the fuck? Like, whereas when I was younger, I probably would have been like, oh my God, it's happening. But I probably would have also been like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, whereas
No,
like
because
now,
seriously.
Though, I feel like I probably would have a little bit of like a, what the fuck? Like, but it would still be like,
I feel like it's always
it
gonna
would
be
be
a
an
what the fuck,
excitement.
because
It would be an excitement, I think, more now than when I was
it would be
younger.
so intense though. Like,
It would
just
be
think
so
how intense that is. Think how intense it is to just talk about it.
We'll have to do like an episode where we talk about if we've ever seen any aliens or activity or anything, or maybe we can even like,
we are
people to, like,
totally going into
send us
all of
any
that.
like stories that they may have, and we can have a little chat
Yes.
about that, because that would be a fun one too.
Tell us
Everybody's
any
got a
close
story, I feel like.
encounters. Yes, like we want to know that. Like, I want to hear your stories. I have some
We'll
stories.
have to have Jeremy on for that episode. Like, we'll have to just have him on for
Yes.
that, if he's up for
Because
it.
I bet you have some shit.
If he's up for it, because like he has some stories too. So
I don't have crazy stories, but I have things I want us to share.
yeah. I mean, even if we just all have a couple stories, we can still just chit chat. We'll surely we can make an episode, and we could talk about something else, and it doesn't have to be all that. But we definitely need to do that, because that would be fun.
We'll go into it. We will definitely go into that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I honestly feel like the Pleiadians give me hope, though. Like, they make me feel like, okay, like, even though I like feel drawn to the Orion Starseed, and you know, some of the ones that we were talking about in the last episode were also very connecting in a lot of ways, I still feel like Pleiadians give me so much comfort knowing that they're all like here with us, or like watching over us, all of the layers. Like, it just gives me,
they love us.
They're
like
that they're there, because
and they embody unconditional love, and they love us, and that's just a different, it really is, like, yeah, exactly what you're saying.
I just feel like they're not gonna let anything happen to us, and if they could stop it, like, I just that gives me so much comfort. And I feel that same way when I think about God, you know, even though I don't necessarily practice religion quite the same way, I still feel like I get a lot of comfort in like Jesus, probably more than God, because I feel like in a lot of Christian settings, like, God kind of sounds scary, like, you know, like,
he was described in many ways, and he can be wrathful and angry and punishing in a lot of narrations, you know. But Jesus to me is just always love.
Yeah. I do like the little quick you brought up like Jesus being like an alien starseed. Like I think that's would be a fun chit chat too, like that. Because
Oh yes, and Mary Magdalene and all of that. Oh, I would love to go
mean,
into all of that. Yeah.
it all makes sense. Like I mean,
Mhm.
like they were just like these are people that were wrote like of all the things that were wrote down in all of those years, those stories are what collected into a book. Like yes, they've been rewrote and some things have been lost in translation and things, but overall like there weren't as many people probably on this planet as there are now. And so those people were touched and special, and many people wrote about them. So there's just something like extra ordinary or extraterrestrial, may I say, that's about that for them to just, I don't know. And their stories still live on. Like I don't know. Kind of hard to not believe
Legend.
connected.
The myth, the man, the myth, the legend type shit.
Maybe that may be a little bit of a conspiracy theory to some. I don't know how far that gets into or what, but I definitely think there's something to it.
Hey, like I'm not telling anybody else like this is what you have to believe, but
I don't necessarily
I
believe
will,
it, but I like to talk
you know,
about it. You know what I mean?
I just want to talk about it. I love like tuning into those like possibilities. You feel me? Like it feels beautiful, and it makes it honestly when I make these connections. This is the cosmic connect to me. Like this is how things make sense to me is by connecting all of these things because it kind of doesn't make sense if you can't connect like aliens to our past, you know.
Yeah,
and starseeds to our past and all of these things, and to our future and to our present.
Yeah, totally. I think that it's uncomfortable to me how comfortable people are with disconnection.
Oh my God, can you say that again for the record? Times a billion?
It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable how comfortable everybody else is with disconnection. I don't think life made sense until I started connecting things that they told me weren't connected. Like church and school. Like I would go to church and they would say one thing, and then I would go to school and they would say another, and it just
constant separation.
It just didn't make sense. Like, how are you all separated in church and state? How are you doing that? Because when you get out into the real world, there isn't that. Like, there is that, but not really.
That's a construct. That's what we call a social construct, a societal construct, which keeps you.
Right. Our money literally still says, "In God we trust." I don't think we should change that, but I'm just simply saying, like, you cannot separate these two things because they're so integrated. So if we keep them connected, it makes things make more sense than when we disconnect them and try to break it down and make it all these raw materials. Like, just put it all back together, put the fucking puzzle back together so we can look at the damn picture. It would make so much more sense, and you'd be able to come to solutions so much easier. Like, much easier.
Preach, preach, girl, preach. Like that's how I feel about my own psyche. That's how I feel about my own being. Is like that's what I have done in my spiritual journey to heal myself. Is like take all those pieces that were disconnected through trauma, and that's what is happening in Earth too. It's like throughout history, there's all these deep traumas that has caused all these disconnections and separations, and now as like the wheel is turning kind of and we're moving into a new age, it's like time it's time for those pieces to all come back to reconnect. And the way that you do it first is within yourself. You gather the pieces of yourself and you make that all make sense, and then like you heal those gaps within yourself where it's like you were conditioned by that larger piece of society, and that became ingrained in you. So how can you start to dismantle that within yourself and like start to put these cosmic connections back together, baby? And then you do it within, and then it goes outward.
Right.
That's my life's work. Really, like that's how I feel like that's my life's work.
It's definitely, this podcast is work. That's what we're here for. All about it. Definitely.
What we do.
I feel like it will become easier when people acknowledge both sides and they just realize that the duality is necessary. Like it's like
It's just a fact of existence.
yeah, neither person is like wrong for having their things. They just need to find the balance of like, okay, so like you can't really have that thing, but like what if this thing is happening? Would that make you okay with not having that thing? Or like, you know what I mean? Like it just, there's plenty of times where there's things that you may think you want, but if you had XYZ, you wouldn't think about that thing that you originally wanted.
Yes, there's something bigger beyond your ego desires. I feel like that's like what you're saying. It's like
Yes.
there's a part of you that knows what you want, but more than you think you know what you want. And like a huge part of that is like surrendering to that and trusting that. But
And
like that's scary. That's a whole process, you know.
I also think there's a lot of people that are being told what they want right now.
Yes, programs, literally mind control program. I'm sorry, but that's just facts.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we were talking about it before we were. I think it was before we were recording today all together. But like, I mean, just like TV, like
it's called TV programs, my guy.
Yeah, like TV. I mean,
just
shows,
be aware of
like
that.
all those things. Like you know, I mean, I like to watch this stuff too, but like you just have to, you know,
be conscious of it. Be aware of how it is affecting you. Yes.
Yeah, and you know,
just be aware of it. Just be aware. Find your own personal balance that feels good for you. That's just my thing on that, you know. But just be aware that that is
everything.
Fucking facts.
In everything.
You know,
balance in everything.
Everything. Advertisements is everywhere.
Doing anything too much, like working too much, like only reading about one thing too much, like, you know, just, I mean,
balance,
you know,
only eating one thing, only like,
right,
you know, yeah, like exactly. you need variety, you need to find your balance. And everyone, I do believe that though, that everybody kind of has their own balance that they need to find, you know.
Yeah,
that will kind of serve them best at every stage of life.
Yes, absolutely. And it's all about, you know, finding the things that resonate, and like if it doesn't resonate, leave it and just take a break from things that you've been doing for a long time every once in a while, just to make sure that it's filling you up and not draining you. Like, you know, just
your energetic diet.
Yeah.
I call it the energetic diet. Because like news, for example, it's great to stay in the know about what's happening. You don't want to disconnect from what's happening, but so much of news is truly like only bad shit, only terrible shit, like sensationalized terrible shit, making shit seem more terrible for you to click on it and get yourself anxious over it. And so like it's great to know what's happening, but like you just need the balance. Just make sure that you're also having things that's really positive input and reminding yourself that there is hope, there is, you know, there is a lot of love in the world, there are a lot of great things happening too, and there is a potential for a beautiful like future for everybody, you know. And like that is often just, you know, that in itself is like it's a constant feed of fear. Just be aware of that.
The other thing that I like to add, because I say this a lot to my clients when it comes to news, is find a balance of looking into your local news, then nation, then global, and look into all of those. They're all incredibly important, but Looking too
Mhm.
much into your local news can also give you paranoia, anxiety, and
Mm.
fear in your own
Yes.
community. So don't look into it to the point that that's all you're looking at. On a nationwide, it's good to know a little bit about what's going on nationally, but you don't need to know about every little thing that's happening in New York when you are in Kansas. Like, chill out. Like, it's fine. Just kind of
Mhm.
know the hot button things. And I'm not saying you shouldn't look into other things. I'm just saying, like, you can literally never do anything with your life trying to keep up with all the news that's happening daily. Like, you could do it all day
Mhm.
long. It's not healthy. And then
Yes.
globally, because globally, literally everybody, we impact each other. And it's
We
good
need to
for us to know
know.
what's going on globally. It's so important because
Oh,
we are so out of touch with
yes.
that in this country because we are privileged
Yes.
to live here with all of the wonderful things we have, no matter what
Mhm.
income class you come from, race, anything. We are so lucky to live in this country compared to a lot of other countries. We have a lot of things. And a lot
Yes.
of us take that for granted, myself included. I've never left this
Mhm.
country. I don't know what I have more than someone else or what I have less than someone else outside of this country, but that I
Mhm.
know that I don't know that, and that's what keeps me humble. But
Yes.
with that being said, global
Mhm.
impacts all of us. So pay attention to all
Yo,
of
I
them,
love.
but little bit of all of them. And
Mhm.
then that is only a little bit of your day. Do not spend
Just a
more
little bit.
than, I don't even know what's a healthy number. An hour? Don't spend more than an hour on the news. I don't know. I could be wrong. It seems like a lot of time.
No, like I just like, and listen, I feel like sometimes different times in your life you might need more balance, but
Sure.
and again, I do feel like everyone has their own balance, but like just be aware of like what how you're feeling, and yeah, like I feel what you're saying so much because it's like I do feel like so much of the education that I got, and I know that like just the education that we got as Americans
Mm-hmm.
left out a lot. It was very America centric. I just was always
Yeah.
tight at how much it was like, why am I learning the same thing about my same like country, about the same founding fathers again when there's parts of the world that we've never even touched one time on, and we don't even fucking know all the different parts of the world because y'all are not teaching us that shit. And like a lot of us are ignorant, but it's like not because we not because of any necessarily like it's just ignorance, like we were not
Yeah.
exposed to this information, and like now we get to choose what content we put in ourselves, but like it hasn't been ingrained in us to care about that shit.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a problem that a lot of like American people face, where it's just like the global news is not like common to
No,
us, right?
no,
Like it's really
no,
not. And I
no.
every time that I've watched the global news, I'm like, thank you, like this is what the fuck I'm trying to know, but like that
And
often
I gotta
seems
be
absent, and it
honest.
almost feels like they're kind of keeping you
Yeah.
trapped in this like smaller kind of mindset. You know what I mean? That's like fear, like fear, like this
Right.
thing happened, this like this tragic thing happened. It's like, how is that
I
truly
gotta be
affecting you?
honest. It wasn't until a couple years ago. Well, it's been a little bit longer than that, but my brother-in-law married a girl from China, and she lives here now. They just
Mhm.
had a baby last month. Um, and then um, my other sister-in-law, just had a baby back in November with a
Mhm.
Honduran immigrant. Like, and it really wasn't until they were in my family that, yes, they cared about what was happening in other countries, but it
Right.
wasn't real. Like, it wasn't like, it
Detached.
didn't come into like importance to actually like familiarize myself with what was going on in other countries because
Yes.
I didn't know anyone there. I didn't have any connections there. Like, the only connection I had was my brothers, their dad is half German and his mom lives in Germany. That's where she's born and raised. And
Mhm.
outside of that, I didn't really have any like family outside of this country that I knew of. And, when you
Mhm.
don't have any connections outside of this country, it's
Yeah.
everyone
It's
does,
so easy
actually.
to
Everyone does, but like if
right.
your family's been here for a really long time, then it's hard to have those connections outside of this country for you to be aware. But I've had clients
Yes.
that are from outside of this country, and having them in my life did make me more aware, but it was once I had family. Like it really does
Mm-hmm.
bring it home to you more, because it's like watching her go through all the emotions about all the things that Chinese people are going through right now is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. She's
Yes.
sad. Her family's there. Like it's so
Mm-hmm.
much. Like, and
Yep.
I'm more aware now because of that. And I'm thankful that she's in my life, because it has made me more aware. But
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to do it unless it's like becomes part of your.
Yes.
So
Yes, like the connections in your life teach you. Like the connections in your life are literally what brings it home.
yeah.
And like if you don't have that, many people just don't have that, and many people are just out here in kind of more isolated communities where there are no people from other countries. There are no people from and I believe that a lot of people, it's just like once you become aware, then it's different, but it's hard to become aware if you've never been taught to be made aware of that. But
Yeah.
once you do become aware of it, it's like one more way of expanding your consciousness. And yeah, I always believe in the value of like intercultural connections, like inter
I
everything
knew
connections.
you're
Like
big on that. We've talked about that before,
yeah, like I
because we were talking about made in the USA and stuff. Like it's good to
mm,
buy things in the United States of
mhm.
America, but there also are things that are just native to other countries, and so it's absolutely like wonderful for you to
Yeah,
buy from those countries. um,
right,
but
right.
I think there can be, just like anything, there can be a little bit of a negative thing to only shopping made in the
Yes.
USA, which
Oh,
I
and I
do
feel
like to
like
buy those products over some
yeah.
plastic products. Like, like I don't want a made in China
Mhm.
plastic product. Like I'll buy the made in America wooden thing.
Mhm.
Like, but
Mhm.
that's just one example. But like, it's good to still support other countries, because those are humans too, and they're part of our race, like our human race.
Yes, and like all right, I just feel like we need to have a whole episode
On that,
where
yeah,
we
for
go more
sure.
into like the power of the dollar, and we're going to talk about the global economics and all that stuff, because
That'll
it
be
really is
a
all
little different
interrelated.
conversation, but
And
absolutely a good one.
so I won't get into all of that, but I do
Yeah,
feel like
no, that's a good idea.
I do
We'll
feel like absolutely like, but overall, just like yes, like the power of
knowledge
you
is what we
know
were talking about.
on the
Power of knowledge.
and it really is like when we're talking about consciousness and expanding your consciousness, it's like your deepest soul truth is that we are all one and we are all connected. And so the more ways you can expand outside of yourself to bring that into your internal reality, like the more your consciousness expands. So you can have one identity with which you identify with and never fuck with anything outside that identity. That is your seventh choice. But if, I can think of myself as an American, but then if I think of only myself as an American so strongly that then I like don't care about anyone from a different country, or like ends up waging a war and we end up being like exploding our shit like we have done in the past. It's like when you bring it home, it's like when you hurt someone else, you're hurting yourself. It doesn't
Mm,
make sense to bomb other people. It doesn't make sense to do destructive things to other people because we're all one, you know?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you have global connections in your life, that's like, oh wait, I love you and I care about you, and I see that on a personal level. It just helps like bring that expansion of consciousness back to where it
Yeah.
really matters to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that you said that. I love that we had that conversation. I think that's beautiful. And I don't know.
What a wild conversation we just had. We went from
And
Pleiadian to
it's a lot of love though.
yes, absolutely. I think it's all somehow connected because that's how we work. And I think that's exactly how the feminine energy takes you, is just flows from one thing to another.
Flowing. It was very Pleiadian because it literally was just flowing, and
yeah,
it did have a bigger message for humanity within it, but
yes, it did.
you know,
I think we were definitely being channeled
in
for
its own
that. Like,
way.
wow. I'm like
Yeah.
really hot. I've been getting hotter and hotter as this has gone on too.
Me too. Me too. Like my face is feeling like sweaty and melty, like warm.
Yeah, yeah. I think that
was
this
really
was
cool.
kind of a fun episode where we just kind of, we did talk about a starseed, but it was kind of just a little bit of a free flow. And we'll come back with probably a few more starseeds in the next few episodes. Maybe we'll wrap up kind of talking about a few more, and then I don't know, unless we get suggested to go somewhere else. I'm sure we have a little bit of a list going of things that we'd like.
We have quite a few things that we can get quite into. So,
but I think we were kind of talking just to kind of give people a little bit of like a heads up. We were gonna talk about a little bit more of the starseeds, and then kind of go into maybe a little bit of the darker side of the starseeds kind of thing. Is that what you?
I mean, I think that will come up, and then we also want to talk about like the indigos and the crystals and what all those are, and
the few things that are coming up. So we're gonna still kind of cover all the different starseeds and different starseed families, and then kind of we'll see where it takes us from there. But I always have so much fun with you.
I do too. Like I don't know. My vibe now is not the same from when we started. That is 1,000% for sure. And it's like, it's amazing.
It is. Well, please connect with us down in the comments below, or our email listed below as well.
Yes.
My handle is blue.river on Instagram.
Mine is frenchiexviiBIG.
And then we have cosmicconnect.frenchie on Instagram.
Yeah.
And TikTok.
And we are cosmicconnect.thepodcast on TikTok.
Yeah.
So
you
can email
everywhere. Us. Everywhere, just about.
And other things. We're in other things. Keep in touch. We love you.
Well, peace.
Peace. All right.